Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are live for Pixel Chatter number 53. Great to have you joining me again for another episode of Pixel Chatter. Once again, got the Pixel Chatter coffee mug going. Thanks to Scott, enjoying my morning brew. Hopefully you are too, wherever you are around the world, as we go into Pixel Chatter number 53. My gosh, we're now motoring along with these episodes. Got a jam-packed show today. I'm going to talk about, well, first of all, I'm going to share my final images for you for my 2019 calendar. Been a little bit of a delay. For those of you that know, I had a lot of issues with my live streaming, which meant that they put my computer back to basically the base settings as if it was brand new. And then I worked out I had to re-import all my images from Lightroom. Now, I don't know if you've ever tried to import, tens of thousands of images, raw files into Lightroom all at once, but it took me days and days and days to do it. My gosh, was it a long process. Anyway, which held up me getting my images across to the printer. So the calendars are being printed right now as we speak. And for those of you that said you want one, I will be contacting you early next week to get that sorted. So we're going to go through those photos. We're going to have a look at what's in my box. If something came in my box this week, we're going to have a look at the featured photographer this week. I don't have a shot kit this week, so just a reminder, if you want to send in your kit to share with everybody what it is you shoot with, you can send that in to me at ben@on3legs.com, and I will share that shot kit on the show live. We all love to look in each other's bags, so share that through with me. I'm going to talk a little bit about panoramic heads. I had a couple of questions about panoramic heads and panoramic rails. That's what this is here. That's a panoramic rail. In fact, I'm going to tell you why you don't need to spend your money on one of these, and how I've wasted my money on panoramic sliders and rails and stuff. We're going to talk about that. Of course, we've got the VIP challenge winners to announce. The VIP group is getting bigger, which means more people entering the VIP competition. And then we're going to do some image critiquing. So a lot to do today. Let's have a look at the chat books. The chat book. Can't even speak this morning. I need more coffee, obviously. Let me have a bit more of that. Here we go. All right, let's have a look in the chat box and see what's going on. Who's here? G'day, Handy Parts. Dennis, g'day. Good morning. Tim Trim, good morning. Bill, good morning. Gianni, Susan, Brian, Andrew, good morning. Dave's Tattoo, good morning. Tim from Florida. Who else were there? Brian, been out for a shoot. G'day, Ren. Good to see. Nice. Lots of people jumping in from all over the place. Just a reminder too, I still have a couple of spots left on the Tassie workshop that I'm running with my good friend Michael Snedek. If you remember, this year, back in May, we went to Cradle Mountain and we did back-to-back workshops. It was awesome. And we have still, I think, 2, maybe 3 spots available. So the early bird special has finished, but there are still spots available if you want to come along. It's still an amazing value. So there's a link down below the video. You can click on that link and it will tell you all about the workshop. It's not my workshop. I just joined forces with Michael. Now, Michael's been running workshops for like 20 years and does a really good job. So if you want to come along, good way to do it. Come along and join us on that workshop. On another note, when I'm talking about workshops, I had a lot of people ask me about coming out to shoot. So I launched another Sydney Sunset workshop, but I limit those to 8 people. So that way everyone gets one-on-one time with me. And it's happening tomorrow night here in Sydney. And it sold out really fast. So I did a poll on the YouTube community to see what people wanted. And there was 2. One was night photography and one was landscape photography on location shots. So I'm going to run a couple more short workshops, just sort of a few hours, capped at 8 people. Make sure you keep an eye out for those. I will be announcing those. I'll try and do one more before Christmas, but I'll do the rest in the new year, and I'll do my best to try and run something every month. That way, if you want to come out and shoot with me and learn something about landscape photography or night photography or photography in general, just come hang out. That'll be easy for you to do. Alrighty. Good morning. You can see Barla's jumped in. Izzy, g'day. Gary, g'day. Someone's drinking rum and coke. Who's drinking rum and coke? I'm having coffee, I promise. There's no rum and coke in there. We have one of those machines. You put it under and it, whips the milk up, grinds the beans, and yeah, we've had those. This is our second one. All right, so let's jump straight into talking about the calendar, so I can show you the images from in the calendar. Now, the VIPs played a part in choosing the calendar images. You know who you are. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to jump over to that screen. I put up about 20-something images and let the VIPs choose what calendar pictures we ended up with. So here we go. These are the 12 images that made it in. Long Jetty at New South Wales. Turameta Beach, Sydney, New South Wales. One of my favourite images. I call that one the Spa. This one's Kuwara, I think, from memory, on the Gold Coast. I think that's how you pronounce it. Fire in the Sky, that one's called. This is Rangitoto Island, which is a volcano off the coast of New Zealand, the North Island, when I was staying in Auckland. You see all that lava rock in the foreground there. Amazing stuff. Liffey Falls, Tasmania. One of those places that I just love. Yeah. This is the Hazard Aurora with the Milky Way in the background. This is the Hazard Mountains, Coles Bay, Tasmania. Mount Cook, New Zealand. The road to Mount Cook. The Church of the Good Shepherd. Had the boss running around on the other side of this church with her torch. Bombo Quarry, south coast of New South Wales. About an hour and a half's drive from my house. Call this one the washing machine. Obvious reasons, I should say. The stranded boat, or shipwrecked, I call this. This is Murdunna in Tasmania. Just driving around, happened to find this one. I like finding things like this. Not very well photographed, so quite a unique shot. Tessellated Pavement, Pirates Bay, Tassie. Eagle Hawk Neck, whatever you want to call it. Very well-known spot. I was lucky to get some amazing colour that morning. Of course, the amazing Cradle Mountain had to make it in there. My very first calendar had to have one of these in there with the reflections and the colour. There we go. There's the 12 shots. So if you wanted one of those calendars, the way to do that is to email me and let me know. I will have a link up for payment shortly. Basically $29.95 Australian dollars plus postage and handling to your area. So the whole idea of this, I'm not making a lot of money out of it. It's cost quite a fair bit, I realise, to make calendars. But it was a good experience. And what I'm going to do next year, my idea next year, let me know if you're interested. My idea next year is to do a collaborative calendar. And what that means is that we get 12 photographers together or more. We can decide if we have more than one picture per month. And everybody submits their best pictures and we create a calendar together. And we share the cost of creating it, but then we distribute it together, which means that as photographers, you end up in front of a whole bunch more people. So that's my idea. I'm not sure what people think about it. You can let me know in the chat box. But if you do want one of these calendars of mine, shoot an email to me, leave a comment on my Facebook Messenger, whatever you like, and I'll put you on the list and I'll contact you as soon as we have the payment system set up on Monday or Tuesday. $30 Australian, which is about, $1 US. Just kidding. It's probably about 22 US or something like that. It's not very much. And then postage and handling on top of that, whatever that is. Alrighty. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing those images, but yeah, that's what we're doing. All right, so if you want to follow me online, by the way, you can follow me on my socials. Here they are here. Very active on Facebook and Instagram. Twitter is usually just a duplicate of the feeds, but I do get on there and answer questions. So feel free to hit me up for a question there. But I'm really loving Instagram and using that a fair bit. All right, let's talk about panoramic rails. I was asked about panoramic rails, and it was funny, the last Tassie workshop that I did, I'm just going to jump out of that screen for a tick. The last Tassie workshop that I did, I did a panoramic photo pretty much without looking at what I was doing, and then we stitched it together in, I think, Lightroom from memory. And the reality was it was a pretty amazing result in the end. I'm going to show you something in a second. I'll do that in a second. It was a pretty amazing result in the end, and I think that it surprised everybody how easy it was to create a panorama without any complicated gear. Now, of course, having certain things to make your life easier will make it easier. I spent hardly any time leveling up the tripod, and anybody who was there, I think Izzy might have been there, or might have been the week before actually. But I didn't even look at how much overlap I had. I just moved the camera. I was talking to the group as I was doing it. I was moving the camera with my left hand behind my back and took like 9 or 10 photos stitched together, and we had a really nice panoramic image that I'd love to show you. But as I said, one of the challenges was I lost all my images in Lightroom because we didn't do the backup. So all those calendar images are like remastered, that's what I'm going to use. You know how when they redo a song and they re-release it? That's what I'm going to call those. They're all remastered because I used every raw file and reprocessed every photo from scratch. So that took a long time, but it gave the best results because, of course, my processing is better than what it was 2 years ago when I took some of those photos. So with the panoramic slider, I started off with a thing called a nodal ninja. Now I'm just going to share my screen with you because I've got some Google images up so you can sort of get a feel for what a nodal ninja looks like. But essentially, this is what I had, this thing here. I'll open it in a new tab and we'll have a look at that. And you can see that's 461 euros, which is like $1 million, about $1,000 Australian. So I bought one of these things and thinking that's what I needed to create amazing panoramic images. And I had it for, I don't know, I had it for a little while. And then it just got too much to muck around with. So as you can see, I'll get one without a camera on it. There we go. As you can see, it's a 3-piece design or 4-piece design. They've got all these bits and pieces that go onto it. And it was, to be honest with you, just a pain in the butt. Here we go. Here's one here. This one's a better one to show you. Let's open this one up. And it unfortunately was a pain. So make that a bit bigger. There we go. Every time I wanted to use it, you had to connect things together. You had to line everything up. And what it meant was I just didn't spend much time taking photos. Now, I don't know how many of you take panoramic images or how many of you have got anything like this. But I'm going to tell you not to waste your money. Now, this would be great. However, I think if you were doing architecture, internal buildings, things that really matter. Now, the reason you need one of these devices, or they say you need one of these, is it gets rid of what's called parallax error. Now, I'm going to get you to do a little exercise with me. We're going to feel funny doing it, but it'll be fun. And the little exercise we're going to do is I want you to put your 2 fingers like that in front of you. Okay, just hold them out in front, just like I am here. Close one eye and then turn your head. Okay, put the fingers as far apart as you can. So put one close to your eye and one out far, and do that. Right, close the other eye, do the same thing. Now, if you're all doing that, you'll feel a bit funny, but what you'll see is how the 2 fingers overlap. They move like this. Okay, that's called parallax error. And the reason that happens is because your eye is not in the center of your neck. Okay, so it's out here on one side. And the same thing happens with a camera. So if I grab a camera, so this camera here, what happens is that the middle of where the image is created is in the middle of this lens. So as you turn that on a tripod like that to do a pano, you see that it actually does an arc. Okay, it does an arc like that. And what that does is that actually affects your image. So they create these things called nodal sliders, ninjas, and it's to reduce that. So that nodal ninja is what I bought. It was a pain in the butt. It was $800 or something when I bought it. And for me, it was something that I don't know why I bought it. I just got into the panoramic world. Everyone was telling me I needed something like that, and so I bought it. And it was the biggest mistake I made because it was heavy, it was cumbersome, and I didn't use it. So I ended up selling it, and of course lost money on it, because that's what happens with second-hand photography gear. Just you buy it brand new, you can guarantee no one will pay anywhere near the new price when you sell it. So I say, how do you make a small fortune in photography? You start off with a big fortune, and you buy some photography equipment, because I can guarantee you that the cameras will be outdated in 6 months. So what I did was, I've got this one here, and I don't even use this very often. This is the Really Right Stuff Panoramic Rail. Now, it's quite good, and you'll see there's a bit of green masking tape on there. I don't know how well you can see that. But what I've got there is I've got my lenses set up. So when you get one of these, what happens is my camera sits into this bit here, and on the bottom here is another Arca Swiss rail, and that slides along. So if you can imagine, my tripod would be here. What this does is this allows me to slide this and move it. And so I've got markers on there for each of my lenses, the 45mm tilt shift, the 24mm 1.4, the 50mm 1.4, and my 85mm 1.4. They're the lenses that I typically use when I do panoramics. And so you would have noticed in all of my vlogs, you haven't seen me use this. And that's because I hardly ever use it, because I don't find it necessary, unless, because, we just did that exercise, unless there is a couple of trees, poles, or something right in front of my face. Okay, that's when I use it. The thing that I do use all the time, and sorry about this Velcro noise, I'll do it quickly. There we go. The thing that I do use all the time is this bad boy. Now, this is a leveling plate. Okay. Now, it doesn't matter how good you are at leveling your tripod, it always takes a long time. This, however, this is a leveling plate. It's got an Arca Swiss connection on the bottom. It goes onto my ball head. It's got a bubble in the top. Once I level this, you can see that it rotates on its own. So this stays stationary, the bottom part, and the top part rotates around. So once it's level, I can rotate it and my image stays completely level. That is a good investment. It saves time. And to me, that is the essence of this gear. Is it's got to work, but it's got to be quick to use or save you time. Otherwise, what's the point? And this, as you can see, fits in my hand. It's super simple to bring along. So I got asked about Panoramix. I got asked, in fact, do I use a nodal slider? And the answer is I own one, a rail anyway, and I don't use it. So there you go. Save your money. Spend your money on a plane ticket to somewhere amazing to take some panoramics, but do get yourself a leveling head if your tripod or ball head doesn't have one. The leveling heads are a time saver. Very well worth it. Okay, I'm just going to jump in and check the chat box quickly. Tim Trim says, great idea, Ben. Hopefully you're talking about the calendar, the group calendar. Spanner calendar sounds like an interesting idea. Been contemplating doing one. Okay, cool. Yeah, I haven't finalised my thinking about it. It's either I help everyone understand how to make one and build one, because it is a bit of a daunting process, finding a printer, working out design, size, etc. So, I've done all the hard work. It's taken me 3 months, by the way, to select a printer and go through the process of proofing stuff. I showed you all the proofs. I can't show you, there's too much stuff on them. I showed you the proofs the other week. So it took a fair bit of work to get to that point. So I can shortcut that all for you. And I found a great guy who is based in New South Wales, but could do calendars for anybody. And he has been really good. And we've filmed some of the process of it being done. I don't know if I'll have enough to put together a video because we've had to rush the last part, unfortunately, because of my issues. But that's all right. There's a good chance that we'll do something. So that's the wrap up on that. G'day Lee, which is Cool Pics. G'day Netwolf. Try searching for the Travel Benro flat tripod. Couldn't find one anywhere in Australia who sells one. Okay, I'm going to give someone a plug. I don't get paid for this. Let me see if I can bring it up. This is where I get all my Benro gear from. I'll just make sure he still has Benro gear. Let's have a look. Yes, he does. Does he have a travel flat? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. All right, I'm going to share my screen. This guy's getting a free plug. Look at this, eh? So, this fellow here, Photoshop Studio. His name's YY. He runs the photography club over that way somewhere, and I've spoken for them and judged one of their photographic competitions. He is a Benro dealer and does amazing deals for everybody. So let's just put in here, travel flat. We'll see what comes up. There you go. There's a heap of them here. Okay. So this is what you want. Now you might not get the same one that I've got because maybe they've got newer versions. So here's one here, $450. There's no ball head on it, but that is the carbon fiber one. You can see they've changed the design. So they've probably got a better design now. So look at that, travel flat. So I'd say, oh, that was just a travel tripod. It's not a travel flat. I thought it said travel flat. Let me find one that's travel flat. Let's see, can we find a flat one? Maybe they're not manufacturing them anymore, but they've definitely got plenty of travel tripods. So I can tell you these guys, Photoshop Studio, they're in Sydney, but he's got a great online store, and I'll give him a free plug. Why not, eh? He's looked after me, so you know if you want anything, don't be afraid to go to YY. He, you know, a lot of the stuff you see in his store, he gets from China because he's a Chinese guy himself. And you'll find on eBay, but he's very competitive. And the good thing about him is you can go into his store. He's got a huge store. He's got a studio you can play with gear in. He's got flash triggers. He's got tripods, lighting, dry cabinets. You name it, he's got it, right? Lenses, photography gear, and at really great prices. So there you go. He gets a shout out for free. All right. Seen this guy's stuff before? Yeah, he's a good guy. His name's YY. Tell him I sent you. If you do go there or you buy from him, tell him I sent you. He'll appreciate that. Let me have a look. All that water gone? Yes, it is, Rick. Thank you. For those that don't know, Sydney had a huge day of rain and lots of flooding. It was incredible. We were fine. We were way out of the way, so nothing affected us. Look at Gil Fry on Facebook. She got a good deal on calendars. Gil Fry, okay, will do. Susan says, I enjoyed your YouTube on tripods. Thanks, Susan. I noticed a couple of people didn't. Got some thumbs down. Oh, can't please everybody. Now, one of the things you would have noticed on my YouTube channel is I'm making a real effort to put out 2 videos a week. And with the live, that'll be 3 videos a week. I've got an exciting brand new series coming next year that... Will I announce that right now? How are we going for time? Yeah, no, I won't. I won't announce it now. I'll leave it till later in the year. But just know I've got something amazing coming for next year that I think you're all going to love. We're going to do about 6 pilot episodes and get your feedback. So that'd be pretty cool. All right, let's do this. Let's do this segment. All right, well, I'm trying to do what's in my box, and I had a video to play, but it doesn't seem to want to play it. So I'm just going to have a quick look. Let's try again. Here we go. You ready? Pretty exciting. I got a notification that there's something in my box. What's in there? A brochure. That, my friends, is a parcel locker key. That's what was in my box, a box. If you want to send something to my box, that's where you send it. That is what's in my box. Pretty exciting. So there you go, it worked. Here's what's in my box. I got, it's been a while since there's been anything in my box. That took a bit to get going, didn't it? Shooting in the dark segment, yeah. We should try that, shouldn't we? So I got a message from Dave, who is Dave's Tattoo. I don't see him in the chat box this morning. I might have missed him. But this is what was in my box. If you want to send me something for this segment, you just find the P.o. Box down below. But there it is there if you want to write it down quickly. P.o. Box 472, Stanhope Gardens, New South Wales 2768. That should be. Yeah, it is an 8. Looked like a 5 to me in the small preview that I can see this. And you can send me something. The best thing to send me is something for up on the sticker board. So let's open up and see what's in my box. I'm trying to show you that it's actually empty. Look at that. It's an empty box. Now, there's a reason it's empty. You're probably thinking, oh, that was an anticlimax. Well, there's a reason it was empty. And that is because after I did that video and I shared with everyone that I was going to open it on the show, Dave sent me a message and he sent, I actually sent you something that you can use for a bit of fun when you're out shooting and maybe the light's not great, and use it as a way to create a bit of fun. So what is in my box is actually like a little Where's Wally? And it's a little something, a critter, and that little critter is actually viewable, I think, right now somewhere in this live. Now, normally someone would send me a sticker or something for up on the sticker board, but instead, what we've done is he sent me a critter, and he thought it would be fun for me to be able to hide this critter in my photos, and for people to be able to spot it. Oh, there's Dave's Tattoo. G'day, Dave. He is here. Yes, I did see him there. So we decided not to show you exactly what it is. Now, Dave can probably see it. It is in this live stream, by the way. But most of you won't know what it is, so it'll be hard for you to spot. But now you can start looking around the room. And it's not a spider. No, Rick. Looks like Tim might know what it is. So you've seen that little critter there in the background. He will be featuring in some of my photos, and you'll have to spot him. But you'll know when I do it. I'll do it in an Instagram story or something like that, and it'll be a bit of fun. So thank you, Dave. He said, I know your box... This was his note, by the way. I loved his note. He said, I know your box has been empty and neglected as of late, so I thought I'd pop a little something in it for you. Just in case you struggle to find a bit of foreground interest whilst out shooting seascapes, then use this little critter. He said, I'll get in early. Wish you and the boss a Merry Christmas and a great New Year. Same to you, Dave. Have a great one, buddy. Getting in early, definitely. Dave. And I'm going to send Dave some little goodies in return to say thank you. So he's left me there with his address, which is good. And I will send you something back up. So thanks heaps for that, Dave. And I can see that... people are already spotting. Maybe I made it a little too obvious, did I? Anyway, it's going to be a bit like Where's Wally? You'll be able to spot it in my photos. Okay, let's look at VIP winners. So we're going to do 2 challenge winners this week because we have not had an episode for a few weeks due to my escapades. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see, or Facebook, you would have seen that I was away shooting last week in particular. So in fact the video that's going up tomorrow night is of last week's shoot on the sand dunes, and yeah, spectacular location, so make sure you are tuning in for that tomorrow night. All right, so as VIPs, now to become a VIP, and all my videos are brought to you by VIPs. I don't take on sponsorship. I get contacted by companies to sponsor my channel, and I don't usually accept any of it because I want this channel... Let me just come back to me so I can explain what it's all about. Let's just do this quickly. Here we go. So I want this channel to be for you guys and the community for you guys. So I typically don't take any sponsorship on. Now, having said that, I do have a camera bag to check out that was lent to me by a great guy who imports camera gear that I met through my circles. But I can honestly say that I'm interested in it. Okay, I wouldn't do it if I didn't think it was good. I'm not going to be paid for it. I just simply said, can I have one of your demo bags to use for a little while to see what it's like? And I said in return, I'll I'll include it in a video somewhere. I didn't say I'd do a review. I didn't say I'd plug it. I didn't say any of that. So the VIPs are who support this channel. I don't take any other sponsorship. The VIPs are very important photographers. And if you want to join that exclusive group of amazing people, you can go to patreon.com/on3legs. It's down below in the description. We have a closed Facebook group that I'm about to show you. And in there, we have weekly VIP challenges, usually weekly, depends on how many entries we get. If I don't get enough, I extend them. And we've just started an image critique album in there as well, which is brand new. We were just sort of doing that in the feed, but we've started an album for that. And we're all very active in there every day. So if you're looking for a good online group to be a part of that is not, 4 million members, which all those free ones are, and with all the rubbish that goes on them, then this is a great opportunity for you. You can, just go in at the base level of $2 US a month. You become a VIP and you get in that group. And it's an amazing group of people. I'm really proud of what we're building in there from a community point of view. All right, enough from me on that. Let's jump over to this here, which is the VIP challenges. So the one I'm going to judge first is the blue challenge, the blue hour, which was a lot of fun. So let's just go through the photos. And we'll have a look and see. So this was challenge 31. So you can see we've been doing this for a little while. 31 weeks. And let's go through. Have a look at what we've got. All right. Stephen Cass, Motohora, Whale Island. Beautiful. Ren Thielen, WA, Dorset Road Windmill. 7-shot pano. Therese Elsie. Just says shot tonight after a stunning sunset. I think be somewhere on the Central Coast, up north, New South Wales. Tim Trim, stitched panorama of Cairns foreshore. No crocs around this evening, but always have to be wary. Isn't that crazy? You have to be worried about crocodiles. Bill Dunshee, blowing a gale off the lake in Canberra, but the eagle never left its watch. Yeah, looks like it's probably stuck there forever. Church of the Good Shepherd, South Island, New Zealand, Paul Goody. Makes a great subject, that does. Not many city lights around here. Get up early for the blue hour. Nice. That was Stephen Cast. Stephen Cast again. Oh Hope Beach. That's a beautiful shot. Lovely foreground. Love that rock. What do we got next? We've got another one by Stephen Cast. Same rock, different angle, different perspective. And everyone's allowed to put 3 images in there. So Isabella, little submerged tree. Beautiful shot. Tim Trim. He said literally blue hour. Includes the time. Tim Trim. Look at this tree. How good's that? Never had to blow sandflies and mozzies away from the lens during exposure, he says, but in this case he had to. Stephen Cast, a cloudy Monday morning in Hope Beach. You live in a beautiful spot, Stephen. Didn't much was going to happen, he says here. Stephen Cast again and again. I think he's gone past the 3 image limit, but that's all right. Is he? He said, I think this just sneaks in as the blue hour. Half blue, half orange. Yep, we'll pay that. We'll make that. We'll allow that one in. And there we go. All right. So the winner. Sorry, we'll do the runner-up first. The runner-up is, and the boss chooses these, by the way. The boss looks through the images. So the winner is this one here, which is Paul Goody, Church of the Good Shepherd. Lovely blue colours there. Definitely a blue hour shot. You can see a bit of snow on the mountains in the background there. Lovely stuff. And then the winner is, let's see this one here. Tim Trim with the Pine Creek Road Blue Hour. What a beautiful subject. Wow, really nice subject and something that I would be shooting on many occasions. You can hear my dogs going off, hopefully. They're probably eating the delivery guy or something, who knows. So, well done, guys, on that. I'm just jumping over here. There we go. Yeah, good job. Fantastic job. But great to see some good entries coming in and lots of entries. You know, it was a very popular category, that one, the Blue Hour. But well done on getting those shots. Let's jump into the next one. I'll just change over albums. The reason I'm doing 2 is because I said we hadn't had a show for a little while. Normally, I would only announce the winners of 1 week's challenge. So let's jump over here. All right, we're ready to go. So well done. Yeah, that was a great shot, Tim. Yeah, everyone did great. All did fantastic. Here we go. I'm being asked in here, let me just check the comments before we do this. Any comments on your Fuji experience with the GX or the GFX? Tim, I just finished saying that I don't take sponsors or gear from anybody, but Fuji did ask me if I would like to have a go of their GFX 50R, and I would be silly to say no. So I believe it is coming in the next week or so for me to have a play with for a little while. So wait till I get it. I'll take it out on a few shoots and I will let you know what I think. How's that? Yeah, wow, that tree in the water was amazing. Done very well. Congratulations, congrats. You'll take me out there if I ever come up this way. I'll take you up on that. Absolutely. I've got some great offers. I've got Izzy going to tour me around down south. I've now got Tim going to tour me around up north. I've got, I think, Steve, is it up on the mid-north coast? There's people everywhere. It's awesome. So next time I'm in your area, let me know. Okay, let's have a look at creative post-processing. So this was challenge number 32. Let's have a look at the entries. So Rob Roy, he turned down all the clarity all the way, gave it a ethereal feel. Beautiful. 25-second exposure by Tommy Hallberg in Hong Kong Island. Changed everything he could in Lightroom to make that. Tim Trim, iPhone shop grab while walking around town. Nice. Same JPEG as shot on phone. Matt's Sandquist, inspired by Tim. Found some, what is it, cold winter day. I started to pray, amazed at how much colour there could be on a winter's day. Yeah, a lot of ice there on something. Look at that ice. Wow. Another one from Matt's. Lives in a cold part of the world, don't you, Matt's? Stephen Algie. Gone for creative black and white images. That's really nice. I love the lighting from the top. Looks great. Another one there. Stephen Algie, black and white one. And his third one there. Very nice. Creative. A little tower of some sort. Stephen Cast. Some dinghies on the shore. Top colours. Looking good. Stephen Cast. Local restaurant and a pier. Nicely processed. Lots of colour. Beautiful colour. Stephen Cast. Boats in the harbour. Once again, nicely coloured. Ren Thielen mosaic created using Turbo Mosaic software. And it was an eagle painted by Chris Thielen, who must be related. Son, maybe? Brother? Not sure. But beautiful shot. Beautiful photo. Really nice done. There's the original painting there. Just to give you a bit of a perspective. Alrighty, so that's all the entries. So the runner-up is Ren Thielen for this one here. Very creative. A mosaic version of something that was painted, which I thought was pretty cool. Once again, though, the boss is picking these. And then the winner of this challenge was this one here. Rob Roy with his autumn trees standing on the middle of the road. Hopefully safely. Without getting run over. Well done, guys. Some nice images there. All right. Let's jump back across here. Good job. Just about finished my coffee, and we are going to get stuck into some critiques in a second. One more thing to do. The show is definitely jam-packed. Let's have a look and see what some of the comments are. Chance, I'm your guide in Arizona. Yeah, I'd love to come to Arizona. My gosh, I see some of your images and go, wow. Jan can do Darwin. Look out. Yeah, you guys have surely taken the creative challenge awesomely. Yes, lots of great shots. So this week's challenge is underway, and it is what was it? I've got to try and remember now. What is this week's challenge? Let's see if I can find it. Abstract. That's right. We're doing abstract this week for something different. Abstract. Already got a few entries in there, so it's starting to fill up. Well, that's my Pixel Chatter coffee over and done with. I do like my Pixel Chatter coffee in the morning. Okay, so we're going to do this week's featured photographer of the week, and the last two featured photographers have been VIP members. This week I'm going to do a YouTuber, and this is a guy that I have been following sort of since he started his YouTube channel, and me and him sort of connect here and there. He takes some great photos and has a similar style to myself, I think, when it comes to the vlogging. So I thought I would share him as today's featured photographer of the week. And it is Stephen Hanna from Northern Ireland. And it's interesting to see, let me just switch it over to the screen so you can see. It is interesting to see the differences in the landscapes around the world and the weather, and how they everyone handles it, because they get up there, whether it's Stephen Hanna or other photographers up on that part of the world, they get weather that's sort of quite often the sort of weather that would make me panic if I was out doing photography. So it's really good to see how they deal with that. The other thing that's different, I mean, here our sunrises and sunsets are really quick because of the fact that we have clear skies so often. And where we're based on the earth, as where they have a lot longer time. So even as YouTubers, one of the things that I've noticed is that they get a long time to film B-roll, create images, like even taking photos. They have a long time, longer time to take photos. And if you've ever travelled to that part of the world, you'll know that there are certain times of the year, though, when sunrise is amazingly early, like super early or super late. But it lasts for a long time. So Stephen Hanna, really good photographer. You can also find him on Instagram. He does run workshops in Iceland. But you'll see, these are a lot of his photos here. This is his Instagram feed. He just gets some beautiful images. So, yeah, that's this week's featured photographer of the week. Go and check him out on Instagram. He's Hanna_Stephen. And get him on YouTube as well. You'll find him at just Google Stephen Hanna, Hanna, and just subscribe to Josiah. There you go. Yeah, he's a great guy. Let him know that I sent you. I think he'll appreciate that. And we're sort of at similar points in our YouTube journey. And it's great to see. I mean, there's a lot of photography vloggers coming up now on YouTube. It's funny, if you look at my first video, I'm actually one of the first, but I wasn't consistent and my quality of content wasn't great. So that's affected my channel growth. But you know what? It's not about quantity, it's about quality. I love what I'm doing and really enjoying running the channel. It's forcing me to learn to be more creative. And I just did a couple of online sort of mini filmmaker courses, if you like. And so it'll be interesting to get your feedback over the next few weeks as the vlogs come out as to if you see a difference. But certainly putting a bit of effort into that production to try and make the make the videos a little bit more enjoyable to watch. So hopefully that's happening, because it's challenging me, and I'm loving the challenge. I'm loving the challenge of creating. And so these guys that are creating videos on YouTube, the amount of work, I know how much work goes into it, and it's great to really appreciate what they do, because not only are we creating videos, but we are also creating photos at the same time. So it's quite a tricky juggling act. So there you go. Okay. Well, yeah, Stephen Hanna, great photographer. Make sure you follow him, subscribe to him, and tell him I sent you. Alrighty, let's jump into this week's critiques now. That's all of that out of the way. I'm just going to increase the size of these thumbnails so you can see these photos nicely. Now, by the way, I didn't have a shot kit, as I said before. If you want to take a photo of the gear that you use and send it in, then you can. The other thing, as you can see, I can now put video into this live stream. So if you want to, take a video of what's in my bag, of your own video, but make sure it's under 2 minutes, and then I'll share it on the live stream. But you don't have to do a video; you can just do a photo and explain what's in there. But more than happy, set your phone up or a camera. Just make sure your audio is good, because that's the most important part of video. Believe it or not, is the audio. I know that sounds silly, but that just is the reality. I can't put something on the show that doesn't have good audio. So happy for you to put something together with a voiceover, like slides or something, whatever you like. Get creative, and maybe it'll give you the chance to try your hand at vlogging. Let's see. Anthony says, did I miss anything? You went and had a look at his channel. What are you doing, Anthony? Wait till this is over before you go watch all his videos. Netwolf says, already subbed to Stephen, love his work, awesome. And Bill says, been following him for a while, awesome. Yeah, he's from Northern Ireland, so he's got a strong accent. Some people might struggle with that. I've got English parents, and I'm half Pommy, so I find it not too difficult. But for me, but I'm sure you'll enjoy it. He does some great work. All right, let's get stuck into some critiques. So this week I've got 2 images to critique. Now, if you want to send images in for critique, I think it confused some of the VIPs because we did start an image critique album. We still need images for this show. You don't have to be a VIP to submit your images for critique. Anybody can submit images for critique. You simply email them through to me at ben@on3legs.com, at least 3,000 pixels on the longest edge, and give me your EXIF information and a little paragraph if you can about how it was shot, because that just helps me even more. It's optional, not mandatory, but just helps me. So I've got 2 images here. The 2 images I've got today aren't going to take a lot of critiquing, I'll tell you now, because the images that I'm getting sent in, some of them are just amazing. And I take my hat off to everybody who takes amazing images. You know, it's just awesome to see. So let's jump across and have a look at these images. Here we go. So I've got an image here from Rob Roy, which is the one on the right, and one from Lee Quimby, which is the one on the left. Now, the one from Lee, let's jump into that. I put this one in. I don't know what Handy Parts is trying to show there, but I'm going to show it. Is that maybe Steve's channel, is it? I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to... It's funny, when someone puts a link in the chat box... it's a YouTube video with the D850, is it? With QSLR. Okay. It asked me to approve it. So anyway, I'm going to share this photo because of the complexity of this. And I want you to take notice of something. Let's have a look here. Now, I don't know how well this shows up on YouTube, but see how in focus this rock is here? It's nice and sharp. Let's go up to this one up here. You see how nice and sharp that is up there. So I'll read you out how this was taken, and just so you can get a feel for it. So this is a photo taken near, and this is from Lee Quimby. Thank you, Lee, who is Cool Pics, I think it is, in the chat box somewhere. I did see you there. He said it's 4 photos in totals. 2 photos focused on the front rock, one at 5 seconds and one at 15 seconds to expose for the white water coming off the rocks. Then one to expose for the rocks. 2 photos focused 2/3 through the image, same exposures as above, 1 second and 15 seconds. And then blended the first 2 exposures for exposure and second photos for exposure. Then I focus stacked the 2 photos from the exposure blending to get the final photo. Sounds confusing, right? But essentially... and this is what you can do to get a great image. Now, there are some things here that I think can be improved, and we'll come there very shortly. But if you put the effort in, you're going to be rewarded. And I think that's clear here. You can see this is a beautiful shot, and all the elements come together nicely. You can see how everything is nice and sharp, which is amazing. Just This was taken with a Nikon D810 with a 16 to 35mm f4, and the reason I use the 14 to 24 is the f4 does suffer a little bit from softness on the edges, and you see that here. I don't know if you can see that down here. So for some reason, that lens, and mine was the same, and I've never had that closer look at somebody, and you've deliberately gone to make this sharp all the way through, yet down here you can still see down the bottom of that image, it is still a little bit soft, which is interesting, isn't it? So that's the reality. It was so I'm not going to worry about reading out the EXIF information that's on there, because it's not going to matter, because you take so many shots and blend them together. But this shows you what you can do with some blending and how you can bring an image together. Did you have a CPL? I think you must have, because I can see through that water. Let me read the notes here. 105mm landscape CPL, so that answers that question. A Lee little stopper on his Manfrotto tripod. ProMaster ball head RRSL bracket. So, all right, cool. So you can see here how you can see in through the water. Gosh, what's going on with my zooming today? You can see here what's happening. By the way, is I have a Wacom tablet that's programmed to use with Photoshop. It doesn't like working with a Lightroom. It's an old one, and I try and use the same commands as Photoshop, and it does weird stuff. Anyway, so you can see how you can see in the water here. That is because of the CPL filter. So if you're ever wondering why you need a CPL filter, this is a good reason why. It also gets rid of the reflections off the rock. So this has got a lot of clarity in this shot. To me, technically, it's going to be hard to pick at this image at all. I would say it's a bit flat, light-wise, but that's probably just what was going on in the day. Now we can probably bring that up in Lightroom. In fact, I guarantee we can. We can give it a little bit more vibrance, but maybe this is what Lee wanted. So I think it's a great shot. It's a beautiful shot. Composition is pretty good. I feel like, and when I with water and even foreground rocks, it's a bit tight. It's a bit too tight, and this water running down here, if you went wider, I think it would work better, because I feel like I'm missing something. So doing the portrait orientation of any photo when you're out doing landscapes is always a bit risky, and it works in this case, but I think landscape would have worked better. That's just my opinion, because I just feel it's a little bit too crushed in. The other thing I feel is up the top here. Okay, here we go with my zooming again. Oh my gosh, Ben, what are you doing? Let me just do it manually up here. I feel that this up the top here is just, you can see a bit overexposed here, highlights anyway. I just feel like it doesn't really add anything to the image. There's nothing of great interest up there. It's a bit messy. So to me, even with this, I would be tempted to crop this down to, and don't be afraid to do this. I'm using, let's use 8x10, which is the old large format, and you see straight away you've got a better crop on that image. And even if I just bring it up slightly like that, and what I'm doing is I'm just thinking about where the intersections need to be. To me, that's more appealing straight away, because we've got rid of all the busy stuff up the top. It's still not composed, I think, in a way that I would have done it. But once again, it's a great shot, so hard to really judge it. I find that I'm not sure about the white balance. It's probably perfect, but let's just see what we can do with a couple of adjustments. That water, you could warm it up a bit, I think. Yeah, warm it up a tad. I'm just going to give it a little bit contrast, +2. The other thing is dehaze. If you use dehaze on things like water and sky, it actually works really nice. And I think you might have already done it. That water to me is a funny colour. So I would be tempted to, and it's the tannin in the water, there's nothing you do about it, but I would be tempted to maybe try and reduce that colour. Now, a way of doing this that works really well, if you come down here, I'll close the other panel so you can see. And I keep it in Lightroom, because if I use Photoshop whilst I'm live streaming, I think my computer will have a coronary. But there is a lot you can do in Lightroom. So in your Lightroom, you've got this panel here called HSL and Color. Now HSL stands for hue, saturation and luminance. And then if you click on color, you can pick the different colors. Now you can see there's a lot of orange and yellow in this. And there's not a lot of that elsewhere. So if you want to, you just go to this HSL, see this saturation. You can just grab things like this orange slider and slide it back and just see what it does. Now, it is reducing the color on the rocks as well. So I don't know that would be the right option to do. The yellow is going to do the same thing. See that? The yellow probably has a better effect without affecting the rocks so much. So I'll bring that back a little bit. Then you've got things like, if you move the aqua, you can see there's nothing in there that's got aqua on it. So you can move different sliders to try different things. So the blue's not really doing anything. The purple's not really doing anything. And the magenta will be the same. Okay, so you'll see that it's not really doing anything. So it allows you to, now the red will have something, not much. So we'll just leave that centered. So the colors that are in this really is orange and yellow. And you'll see that if I move the orange and yellow sliders, they're going to make the biggest difference. Now the problem with using orange and yellow sliders is if you do have, let me just get rid of that original crop. We'll just take it back up again because I want to show you what happens when you use those sliders on things that have foliage in them. Now this is the challenge. When you start reducing things like yellow, you can see it really affects your foliage. Same with orange. Okay, so it really affects your foliage. So if you're going to use these sliders on a picture that has a lot of foliage in it, you've got to be careful. But I did crop them out. So we'll just come back down here. We'll crop that foliage out. And let's just reduce the orange out of that water and the yellow a tad. Now, it's probably no good even like that, because what it's doing now is just desaturating it too much. So another way around it, now I find that works quite well. If you just want to just settle it down a little bit, you can just take it, minus 15 on both. There we go. And if we just have a look at the before and after, there's the before and after there. It's only very slight, but you can see it just gets rid of that weird color in the water. So don't be afraid to play around with your colors to get the effect that you want. If something doesn't look right, now another way to do it, let me return these back to where they were. Another way to do it is use this brush, and in your brush here, you can change the color of something by selecting a color. You can paint color on, or you can desaturate an area. So for example, I could get this saturation slider and slide it all the way to the left, and when I paint over the water, I can desaturate that color, get rid of it out of the finish. Now that's going to depend on, like, let me just turn the flow up and you'll see how much more effect that'll have. So it's going to depend on what you want as to how much you do. But typically what I do with anything like this is I will do it at 100%, like really go to town on it so you can see it happening. And you can see how much I've desaturated. And then what I do is I then adjust the brush afterwards. So you can see I can then make an adjustment. Now the benefit of that is that all I've done is adjusted the water. Okay, I haven't changed the warmth that's on the rocks. And if I show you now, that's before and after. It's very subtle, but it's enough just to see the difference. So I warmed the colors up to get more warmth on the rocks. So you see the rocks go warmer, but the color goes cooler. Okay, and the reason for that is because I desaturated the color slightly. So that's just a little tip for you, with things like this. Now you can do the same thing with the rocks. Let's say you want to increase the saturation on the rocks. Do the same thing. Get a new brush and go crazy. Bring some color into them, and you'll find that you can really bring your photos to life in different ways. So if I show you the before and after now. Let's do this lights out, which is, I'm just hitting L on my keyboard for lights out, by the way. So look at the difference. That's before and that's after. Okay, so I've reversed the saturation onto the rocks. Now I've overdone it just for the presentation or the purpose of showing you how to do it. But that gives you an idea of what you can do and what you can get away with. So, hopefully that's helpful. All right, let's jump back into the library. So I'm just mindful we're running out of time. So this is a photo from. So thanks for sending that in, Lee. Before I jump onto Rob's, as we run out of time. Isn't it great that we don't have any technical issues now as the show runs? It's awesome. So this one here was sent in by Rob Roy, and Rob's a good contributor. He sends lots of things in, and at the moment he's got some amazing autumn colours, or I think what they call fall, over there in the US. And this one here, he said, I'm not sure if you still want email images. Yes, I do. This one was shot, caught out of the corner of my eye. I had to stop, pull off the highway and go shoot. Taken with his D850, 16 to 35 at 32mm. F16, 5 second, ISO 64 on a tripod, circular polarizing filter, remote shutter. Beautiful. Technically, from that perspective, beautiful. Really well done. I think from a composition point of view, it's pretty good. There's not, I think the leading line coming out of the corner looks really nice. I just, once again, feel like it's lacking a little bit of punch, and this could be for a couple of reasons. I do have a calibrated retina monitor, so I see things probably differently to what you would on a standard monitor. And I can't stress enough for photographers the difference in my work when I got my monitor sorted so the colours were true and correct was pretty. Was pretty big. So I think it's important that you make sure that with your monitors they are calibrated. Not saying that it isn't, but to me it just lacks a bit of vibrance. The other thing is it's lacking a little bit of depth. Okay, and so there's a couple of ways to create depth in an image, and I'm going to do this quickly. Besides that, there's not a lot else I would say this image needs. I find this white space up here a bit distracting, so I would probably just crop it down a little bit. I don't want to lose the top of that tree because I think that's awesome. Yeah, and here comes a pano. Everyone's going, Ben's going to pano it. I just think a pano would work nicely here, just to get rid of that corner a little bit. And then I would work on increasing the depth. Now, when I talk about depth, there's a few ways. Clarity gives you depth. So as soon as I slide that clarity, you can see you get a bit of depth. I'll put that back to 0. Dehaze does the same things. Okay, they're just different ways of applying contrast. So, and is that haziness that flattens an image. Contrast does it. I tend not to use contrast too much because it does it in an extreme way. And then the other way it does it is your blacks and your whites. So, if you just adjust your blacks and your whites, you'll get the same thing. And they all do it in different ways. So you've got to choose what you want. You might have a combination of all of them. But to me, this is all this photo needed, was a little bit of depth. I'm going to also just give it a little bit of vibrance, and then I will grab a brush and let's clarity this bridge and this tree because they look amazing. There we go. And this stuff here. Let's really make that stuff stand out. Okay, I'm just going to slide it back a bit. Like I said, I always go high on the clarity and then I adjust it after I'm done. All right, so I'm done now. Really, I made minor changes that didn't really need making. The main one, though, it did need some depth, right? So make sure you think about that. And that sky's still distracting me up in this top corner. So I would be really tempted to even crop that out and do something like that. That's taken the focus and put it on the bridge and the water. Let's bring this back down then. The good thing about trees and the human brain is the human brain knows what the top of a tree looks like. So you can get away with this type of thing. And in fact, I think that looks really good now. I find that really distracting. So just look when you're taking a photo, make sure you look at all the elements around to get rid of anything that's distracting. All right, let's do lights out and have a look at before and after. So this was before and this is after. And you'll get what I'm saying about how flat that is compared to that. Okay, you can just see it looks like it's got a smoky haze over it. And it is just making a few small adjustments until you're happy with it. Now, I did that really fast. I would normally take a bit more time and care to go through and apply clarity, etc. But we're running out of time. But just, it's those little things that make a huge difference. And I think you'll find that you start paying attention to those little things. So here's a trick for you, by the way. Well done, Rob, by the way. That's a great shot. I love it. There's only, I'm being nitpicky, there's only a few little things, but there's certainly some things you can do. Let's actually just try one more crop that I think will work really well, which is that. Oh yeah, that's just brought the action closer. Yeah, I like that. I'm just going to do one little bit more, because I think that, yeah, I suffer from this same problem. You know what, I have a wide angle lens. I feel like I need to use it. But this here, let's get rid of that there. With that crop, that just brought that image to a whole new perspective to me. Let's do lights out and just check that out. Have a look at that. So, sometimes it is about thinking about your composition and what else you could do differently. And I guess you see that tree and you want to get it all in. But, you can, you shoot a bit tighter like that. And the good thing with the D850 too, by the way, is you can crop things to buggery and you still have an amazing file to play with. But to me, that's a good shot. That's a really good shot. And I actually, now I've cropped it like that, I think that's the shot there. It's tempting to try and get all the mountains, tempting to try and get everything in, but that to me is just perfect. So there you go. What did you think of that, guys? Now, I was off on a tangent, wasn't I? What was I talking about? And then I got distracted by cropping. I get so excited with these photos. But thanks heaps for sending them in, because without that, we don't have a Pixel Chatter critique show. Less is more. Yeah, it is. Is that what I was saying? I think so. But certainly sometimes... Oh, that's what I was saying. With the wide-angle lens, I'm always tempted to try and get everything in. And then when I get my images on my computer at home and I crop them tight, I go, wow, that's a great composition or a great shot that I could have got, but I didn't. And I can crop it, but, I think it's a good reminder that we don't have to always shoot wide as landscape photographers. And for me, I need that reminder all the time. I look at most of my shots, I shoot them at 14 millimeters. And I am looking at the Liowa, I think it is, 12mm f2.8 prime lens as a new lens in my kit bag because I just love shooting wide. And it's a zero distortion wide angle lens. I'm still deciding whether or not to go down that path. And the decision is because I want to try and reduce the weight of my filter kit, as you can imagine. It's just crazy having that bloody big filter kit and that big lens. So I'll decide that in the new year. But if I was going to do that, I would need to make sure that I shoot other things as well. And I've started taking my 24 to 70 with me more now. And I think it's important that we do give ourselves the opportunity to shoot different things because it's easy to get stuck in a rut, isn't it? And I've done the same thing. But yeah, both beautiful images. Great job, guys. I was being nitpicky because there was very little for me to critique. They're just little things that I would change. Both great images. So and I'm sure if I spent half an hour on each of them, I could come up with a few other things. But they would just be things that are my style or the things that I like to do. Alrighty. Well, that's pretty much it for this week's show. Next week, what have we got on next week? Nope, I think there's going to be a show next week, so I'll get that scheduled so you'll be able to set the reminders. If you're not a VIP and you want to become an On Three Legs VIP, a very important photographer, then jump into patreon.com/on3legs. You can learn about it all there, and it's a great place to hang out. Come and have fun with us, and it supports the channel. So the VIPs, by the way, if you've noticed any difference in the production, I'd accumulated enough funds in the Patreon account that I was able to get this. And this is the Canon M50. And it's a new addition to the vlogging stable. I had to do something because this is what I was using for my vlogging. Okay, this is the G7X Mark II. I still sort of have this for filming some stuff as a backup now, but the autofocus, I've been using this for 2 years. I've dropped it a few times. The autofocus was going on it was missing focus a lot, and it doesn't have a mic input. So you'll notice on this week's vlog, you'll notice the audio quality change because this has an external mic input in it, this Canon camera. It also has a wider lens, and I've got a wider one on order. So thank you to the Patreons that made that possible. I didn't quite cover it, all the funds that were in there, but it was pretty close. But hopefully what that means is we have better video quality. Now, on a caveat on the audio quality was it was my first time using a lapel microphone for the entire vlog, and I noticed a couple of things. Towards the end of it, my necklace, my gold chain, was tapping on the microphone, and that was a bit annoying, so apologies in advance for that. The other thing was a little bit of wind noise, just trying to get the right angle. Here and there was a bit of wind noise, so I need to get a muff for the little mic. But I think the quality is going to go up a little bit, which is cool. I've now got my eyes set, and it says that on the Patreon on a gimbal. They just released the Osmo Pocket, and I think that's the perfect option for a vlogger to be able to get nice, smooth B-roll. So that's the next thing that we're going to get with the Patreon money. So just so you know, the Patreon money, I don't spend it on myself going out to buy goodies for myself. I have spent all the Patreon money on things for the show, whether it's been the software that I use for this live streaming, things like, microphones, gear for vlog. It's all gone into vlogging gear. So I'm still in the red, but that's okay. That's how it works. Over time, I'm sure as it builds, there'll be more funds to do more things. So lots of stuff. I'll be kicked out of the Nikon clubs for having a Canon. Well, I've always had a Canon, so that's okay. I've always had Fuji. They can kick me out if they want. I don't mind. All right, well, I think we've got enough over time here, so let's wrap the show up. Once again, thanks for joining me. It's so good to be able to have these Pixel Chatter shows trouble-free, and the iPad works really well. I'll show you my setup just quickly because I can now, the way that I've set up this extra camera. There we go. So that's my iPad connected to my main monitor. So that's the main monitor there in front of me. And then the iPad sits here, and I can adjust what you see. So right now you're seeing this, but if I press that button there we go, you see that, and then I press this button here, and now you're going to see that, and this is how we'll wrap up the show. Make sure you follow me on social media. Thanks again for tuning in. Until next time, take care. Cheerio.